All right, back here at NARPM. Very excited about this interview here today. This is Jay from BetterWho. We just finished listening to you giving a great speech on the advantages of using AI really for guidance and increasing efficiencies in your business, which is exciting. But before we get into anything, let's just hear a little bit about Jay. Who's BetterWho all about? Like, let's spill the tea, man. Let's hear what you're about.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for asking. So, property manager. I've been doing property management for 20 years.
Okay.
Went from 0 to 350 doors in the first 2 years, and that was a mess, but a lot of fun at the same time, and realized a lot of things along the way.
Okay.
Also did brokerage, and up until about 10 years ago, we launched BetterWho, which we're a property management consulting company.
Okay.
We do direct hire, remote team member placement.
Okay.
And we help property management companies build self-managing teams.
Self-managed teams, all right.
Yeah.
So let's get into the details a little bit here, all right? A lot of nuggets in here, you guys can hear, a lot of people want to understand, how do I scale, how do I grow, right? 0 to 350 doors in 2 years. Let's just talk about that, okay? Let's start there, okay? I'm a property manager, I got my first 50 doors, and everyone comes and says, I have 50 doors, and I want to get to 350, right? Let's just get into the details. What am I doing first? Am I getting a coach? Am I increasing my Google reviews? Like, where do I go? What's the next step?
Man, that's a great question because it's the question that everybody at that stage has.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the same question that any stage business owner has.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that people can do, but doing the right things at the right time in your business is so important.
Okay.
So there's two things that I always recommend to people. Number one, have a coach that's made the mistakes before and knows the right path and has the right resources and tools.
Yeah.
But I think even more importantly, identify what are the things that you love to do? What's within your superpower where passion meets talent, right? You write down a list.
Yeah.
You're writing down the things that are the highest and best use of your time.
Yeah.
And then you write down this other list of all the other things that need to happen that shouldn't require your attention.
Yeah.
And then that essentially is your job description for your first hire.
Yeah.
And well, most people at 50 doors, they can't afford someone who is local because especially in California, minimum wage is up to what, like 23 bucks an hour?
Yeah.
It's hard to find labor.
That's a big commitment. It's a big commitment. Yeah.
It's a big commitment. And quite honestly, right now, there's a war on profit in property management.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to have the income, and then you have labor on the expense side.
Yeah.
So hiring a VA, a virtual assistant, or as we call them, my business partner, we adopted the name, which is now industry lingo, remote team member.
Yeah.
So whenever you hear RTM,
Yeah.
that's the same thing as a virtual assistant, except in RTM, it's highly specialized. They're in another country, and you can actually pay them direct without having to have a middleman involved.
Okay.
And we empower property management companies to do that.
Okay, so leveraging resources, leveraging technology to help reduce the cost of operational oversight may be something that a lot of people want to consider when they're in that 50 to 75 range and saying, all right, I'm ready to take the next step, but I feel stuck because I don't have the money to bring on that local person, right? So, okay, so good thing to think. Let's talk about a mistake then on that. So we know something that's positive, right? Person hits 100 doors, they make a mistake. What are some of the mistakes that you've seen out there that we could say, just give one nugget to somebody that's like, here's a common one that I see as people are really going, well, is a consultant actually worth the effort? Because you also cost money too, right? So what mistakes are you going to help me avoid?
Great. So first, I'm gonna address two mistakes.
Yeah.
The first mistake is looking at a cost in a coach or a guide, because it shouldn't be a cost. If you're having a conversation with someone who can help you when you invest in their business, they should be able to provide you with roadmap in order to take that investment that you're paying the coach and actually show you when you're going to hit a return, how you're going to hit a return. Because software is a cost. It's a cost of doing business. A coach or a consultant is an investment. So what we do is we look first at, okay, how much are you making in your business? And let's look at where your fees are, and are you getting paid what you're worth? Let's look at your labor efficiency. Are you overspending on labor? Because there's industry benchmarks for that. Most property management companies don't know. So we look and we compare labor efficiency compared to the industry benchmark. So That's the first part.
So we'll pause there for a second
Yeah.
on that one, though. So what I heard when I hear that, so as a tip, is find somebody that's not a champion, but that can actually also guide. Because a lot of people can pay to champion you. Hey, do this, and you got it, and you got this, and you can make this happen, and self-help. But self-help necessarily doesn't always mean results, right? So find somebody that's got a good proven track, a good proven path forward, and it shows returns and real results. So that would be your first recommendation in checking somebody out as far as a coach.
Yes, and to add to that, because like personal development, that's important,
Yep.
trust me.
Yep.
Like the patterns that we fall into, the core belief system that we have,
Yep.
and the mindset and the identity that we have
Yeah.
is very important and relevant to what we do on a day-to-day basis, especially in our business.
Yeah.
I went to a ton of Tony Robbins events,
Yeah.
changed my life,
Yeah.
but did not change my business.
Yeah.
Because you have to have someone, I
yeah.
believe,
Yeah.
who has practical hands-on experience,
Yeah.
knows the industry,
Yeah.
and can help you avoid the mistakes
Yeah.
along the way.
Yeah.
Which leads me to the second thing that property management companies can do.
Yeah.
So that's creating a roadmap, right? Doing the right things at the right time. First, like a road trip. You have to know where you're going.
Yeah.
A lot of people I talk to, and it's not their fault, right? You're a business owner, you're in the weeds.
Yeah.
So it's not your fault, but you have to know what is the goal.
Yeah.
So, I'll talk to some people, well, I'd like to double my units by next year. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'd like to lift this chair, but
Yeah.
if I don't put action
Yeah.
around it and
Yeah.
effort
Yeah.
and intentionality, then it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's like, how are you going to do that? Well, the phone rings and I get a new client. Well, okay, is that a reliable source to hit 200s, right?
Yeah. So we always recommend, and we love, this is my favorite part, is building roadmaps. So being able to extract the genius from a visionary, a business owner, and be able to ask the right questions. Hey, where do you want to be in 3 years? And then 1 year. And now let's look at what are the things that you need to do in the next 90 days,
Yeah.
and who are the people that you need on the bus,
Yeah.
right? Like going on a road trip. I'm
Yeah.
going to drive from Colorado to California.
Yeah.
What am I taking?
Yeah.
Am I driving a Buick, right? Or am I driving a Lexus? Am I taking a motorcycle? Or
Details,
am I
specifics.
flying?
Yeah.
Specifics. When do I want to get there? Who do I want coming with me? Where am I stopping along the way? How much is this going to cost me?
Yeah.
You have to have a plan, and you have to have milestones along the way,
Yeah.
right? Where are we going to be? Check in 2 weeks, 14 days.
Yeah.
Are we at where we're supposed to be at?
Yeah.
That's how successful businesses are run.
Yeah.
The Fortune 500 companies are run that way.
Yeah.
There's no reason why property management companies shouldn't be run that way either.
Love it,
Yeah.
love it, love it. It's actually remind me when you were talking here, when I first got into property management, it was me and a partner of mine, and we started off with like 8,500 doors. And I was actually one of his first big hires that kind of came in around that line, right? This is, way back in the day. I started off as a leasing agent, and he was preaching the same stuff back then. And we sat down and we came up with plans, goals, milestones. And in 4 years, we went from 85 doors to 600 doors in 4 years in a market town that only had 130,000 people on it, which is great saturation in that. And so I'm just backing up what you're hearing here from Jay, that those same proven methods have been working since forever, right? And don't get away from them. Some things don't need to be disrupted. Some things need to be relied on, and Jay will remind us to get back to that. So Jay, you're a vendor, okay? So, he has the background as a property manager, but we haven't had a vendor up here yet, and for somebody that's just got done speaking and has the presence that you have, and people know and recognize you. Tell us a little bit about that journey, because NARPM is a great organization, right? And they're a bonded group of individuals, and some vendors are coming in here and going, how do I make impact in NARPM? How do I get value in NARPM, right? Everyone's like, if I can find value in NARPM, I think I've done good as a vendor. Tell us a little about your story and your journey of how you've gotten to where you are as a company today, because it is impressive.
Absolutely. It's the same way that you build any B2B business,
Yeah.
or even just property management business, relationships. It's a value exchange. Everything we do, moment to moment, is an exchange of value. And it's just like when prospects call us and they ask us first question, how much do you charge? That's not really what they want to know, but they don't know what to ask.
Yeah.
So it's understanding what value are you offering,
Yeah.
and what do I have to pay for that value.
Yeah.
So what we've done, just from being in the industry before we became vendors,
Yep.
was really get involved.
Okay, so get involved, number one. Okay,
Yep.
get involved, number one. Okay, go ahead.
Get involved, speak, give your gift.
Yep.
You know, whatever you can do.
Yep.
If you give, you're going to get back.
Okay.
And that's just the way that it works.
All right, so
here.
get involved, shake those hands, don't be afraid to speak out, right? Build those relationships, right? How many years did it take you from a vendor to the point where you just spoke here today, where you had your first speaking engagement? Did people say, hey, we see value in what Jay's bringing to the NARPM community? How many years did that take?
Well, let me throw something else out there first, and
Yeah.
then I do want to come right back to that.
Yeah.
So just relating to the giving value, and I want to relate this back for the property managers, is that the way I went from 0 to 350 doors was realtor referrals. And I was a broker myself. And I get that objection a lot from property managers. It's like, well, you know, if I do brokerage, how am I going to get that many broker referrals? It's a value exchange. You have to know, what do they want? What's valuable to them? Well, number one, right, it's take care of my client. We know how important that is. Number two,
Yep.
send them back to us when they're ready to sell. And then number three, maybe pay us a referral fee,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, but that's low on the
Pretty
list.
transactional, yeah.
But it is the value you have to bring. So the way you bring that value is they need to see you showing up and volunteering at networking events in the real estate industry.
Yeah.
They have to see you, you know, doing whatever you can. And that might be giving presentations to brokerages on how to protect your landlord, fair housing, ABCs.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah, so here's a good point. One of the things to tap into, and I have seen this, is that there's a lot of brokerages that would love for property managers to come over, and they have new brokers that do an educational class, right? Get over there and talk to them, right? Build those relationships with form, especially those new agents that are coming up that now can say, I have somebody to refer to. So yeah, great point. Yeah. Love that.
And circling back to the other point, which was speaking, how long did it take me to get there and all that? Yeah, well, look, it didn't come overnight.
Yeah.
Like, when I left my property management company, when I became a virtual team member, I had to move from Florida to North Carolina about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And at that time, I had sold 1,400 homes in real estate, and we were managing, you know, over 1,000 properties in 6 different states.
Yeah.
But we have 2 kids, both have special needs.
Yep.
And Southwest Florida was not the best place to raise the kids. It just didn't have the services. So we moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. And at that time, I said, well, I want to do something else. I just don't want to do this anymore. And I want to give back, and I want to take what I've built, and I want to be able to share with others.
Yeah.
So that 5-year journey, right? It's
That mission to give back started, about 5 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of education, it's a lot of self-improvement, and it's a lot of focusing on the right things. One of the right things for me was being intentional about giving back and intentional about what I'm passionate about, which superpower. Passion meets talent. I love efficiency.
Full circle.
I'm passionate
Full
about
circle.
it. Absolutely. I'm passionate about efficiency and leverage. I mean, I'm the kind of guy, I'm brushing my teeth in the shower. It saves me time. All the little things along the way, I just love that efficiency. And there's so many tools, because there's 2 ways to create efficiency. One of them, people. Another one, technology. And when you have the perfect balance of those 2, which took me a while to figure this out, then you just hit a home run. And then I started really honing in my skills and intentionality, reaching out to the right people, not being afraid, but reaching out to the right people, the right key players in the industry, and saying, hey, listen, I want to give back. I want to present, I want to add value, and not ask for anything in return. Just add value, give value, and it'll come back.
And it comes back. Love that.
Yeah, it's been great for our business, but more importantly, I'm seeing the change. I'm seeing the shift. I'm the kind of guy, I don't know about you, but the reward for me is when someone comes up to me and says, hey, you know what? The things that we've been doing together have made a significant impact on my business. I went from 2 doors a month to 7 doors a month, Jay. Like, that to me is a home run, because that's the way I like to be validated.
That's awesome. So validated through success. So final question for you, and you mentioned on it, people, we talked a lot about that, value, processes, effort, organization, those things that we need to do. Let's just touch on technology, right? There's a big buzz here about technology. Obviously what we're doing in this space is all about, AI and bringing in technology. Where's it all going? Where's it going to bring value to the person that's like, I think we're beyond saying to people, be scared about this. People are realizing that they have to engage it at some level. What's the guidance that you would kind of give on that as people are really sitting down and going, okay, I need to consider this?
Yeah, so from giving so many talks on AI and speaking to individuals and business owners on a regular, what I've come to realize is that there's still just so much confusion. What do I do? What do I lean into? I mean, think about all the choices we have on a daily basis. Now with AI, it's just insurmountable, and you can't go down a rabbit hole. Because if you do, you're going to get distracted from the things that are important. Again, full circle back to the roadmap, right? If you have a roadmap and you stay on track with that roadmap, you're not going to get distracted. Or if you have a good coach, when you get distracted, boom, you get pulled back in. So where AI is going and where it needs to go is AI being integrated within the softwares that we use on an everyday basis, and collecting the data that we need and using that data for industry benchmarks, using that data to provide information to owners so that we can communicate and say, hey, listen, this is what I did for you this year, or this is what we've done together.
Showing value.
A partnership.
Showing value,
right? Showing value and celebrating the wins. It's like, look, you know, you only spend X amount. The industry standard is landlords in our area are spending X amount, right? But let's celebrate. This is fantastic news, because what happens? Property owners, they typically only hear from their management company when there's something wrong. And that is the quickest way to go out of business. We have to have great touches with them, systems in place to celebrate the wins. In order to do that, AI and leveraging technology and the right people is the way that you have to do it.
You know, I was just telling a story earlier, and you're so spot on. When I had that management company about 15 years ago, working in there, we had an owner, he had about 55 doors, and he called me up one day and he said, David, he goes, you do such a great job for me. But he goes, I noticed something. He says, the only time I ever talk to you is like when things are bad. And now when the phone rings, I get anxiety when I see you because I know you're not calling me to ask me how my day is. We don't have a friendship. And he goes, that's kind of bumming me out because you do such a good job for me. And I'm like, how do we change that, right? And that's what I'm looking forward to with technology, is about using AI to help guide owners, not at the end of the month, but through the month, into the value in the decisions, so that when that decision or that need or that phone call comes, or maybe the AI is doing it for you in some pieces, they're like, wow, you know, I may not be happy about the $400 that I'm spending right here, but I'm really happy about the process that this went through. And I see value that in turning that negative into a positive, right? Right, that's what I'm really about, the big mission about. You know, property managers joke around all the time that they dread the monthly end of the report with the owner, right? Well, how can we turn that into a positive? And I think if we do that, we're really moving forward in the industry to attracting that large group of property owners that still are not sold on using a property manager yet, right? Right? They're afraid of that interaction. So in closing, just some thoughts on there. How do we attract more of those people? And is technology going to help us attract those people?
Well, technology will help us attract those people if we use it properly. So that's yet to be seen how that would work. But with intentionality, the way that we attract those people is we put out the right marketing content. We understand who our ideal client is, and we speak to them like we would speak to just average Jane and Joe Smith that we manage their property. And we put out marketing content like that, informing them like, look, the average cost to repair an AC 6 years ago was $300. Now it's $600. Because guess what? When the owner gets the bill and they see a $520 bill and they're like, what the hell? You know, a few years ago it was only $300. You really, if you've already educated them, if you've pre-framed them, then you control the conversation.
So technology is going to help with education, and to your point, right, guys, the price of a pickup truck has increased 61% in the last 10 years. Insurance has gone up by a factor of 4 times. Why? Because home prices have scaled and the insurance for contractors and people have gone up, right? Tires are up like 150%. So you're like, if we're able to bring people into that conversation and help with some of that sticker shock to understand that the conditions are also a factor of that, you think that's going to be a better owner experience of what they're looking for. So
absolutely, yeah. And you got to give them the old yes and, like yes, and this is what we've been able to accomplish together. And also this is the way that rents have increased. And this is what we've been able to do for you. And this is what we're going to do for you in the future. I always say, communication is the foundation of any successful relationship. It makes or breaks it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's your spouse,
Yeah.
your business partner, your clients,
Yeah.
but if you have effective communication and the right amount, you can't go wrong.
Well, guys, I could sit here with Jay from BetterWho and probably talk for the next 3 hours because we were so aligned. Technology is going to be a big part, having a roadmap, having a coach, establishing your goals, setting those expectations are going to all be the key for us to succeed in this industry for now and for the years to come. Jay, it's been great. Appreciate your time, buddy.
Let's go.
All right, let's do it.